order for the May 12th, 2025 Rochester Selectboard. We have posted in our usual three places, Skip Mart, Post Office, and Town Office, as well as the website, and emailed all interested parties, so we have a legal meeting. And first order of business is to approve the prior meeting minutes. So I have read through those, and I'm assuming you have as well, and I will propose that we accept those as written.
That would be seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was able to get Kelly. I left a message for Dick Robson to get back to me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so moving on to the departments. Anybody here from the library? No?
Nobody
Okay.
on Zoom.
Highway?
Well, we've got a slide on Maple Hill, happened this weekend with all the rain. We're in the process of repairing it. I've been in touch with the state, and they haven't got back to me. I don't know if we're gonna qualify for any reimbursement there.
Okay, so checking on some kind of a grant or allowance somewhere. All right.
Is this something that you think you're gonna be able to take care of yourself? Or are you gonna need contractors, engineering?
I've got a contractor there with an excavator, hired excavator, a couple hired trucks, because we are down to one truck, that's.
Right.
Okay.
But it doesn't rise to the level that it's gonna need engineering or anything? You don't think?
No.
Okay.
Actually, the state engineer was there and he liked what we were doing, Chris Bum.
Excellent, thank you.
I asked him what he thought and he said, Charles has done a lot of these, leave him alone.
Okay,
Okay.
fair enough.
That's good.
All right.
I think it'll work. And the International is at the doctor again, it doesn't wanna run. So I don't know when we'll see that again. And the 550, that's at the other doctor getting another transmission.
Wow. Okay.
We change motor oil every other transmission change, seems like.
It's not funny, but it's kind of
So,
true.
Kind of seems true.
with that said, we need to act on the replacement for that truck. But Wednesday, we went to the trade show in Barry. I was talking to the body salesman, and that's gone from 9 months to 18 months out after they've received the cab and chassis.
Okay.
Not great news, but it makes me think for what the offer on the trade of the 550, I think maybe we should buy a new truck outright and then worry about getting rid of the one we've got when we get the new one.
Okay.
Could you like put together the particulars of what that would entail, like, you know, what the trade is, what the new buy is, and,
I think you've got it all.
Yep.
okay, we have, oh, that's what
I
this
don't have
is,
my
okay.
copy with me.
But-
but-
All right, just got it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we just haven't had a chance to really comb through that, but that will be more of a priority than not. Because we're, as you said, we're basically looking at fall of '26, correct?
Yes.
At best, really.
Or, no, we're looking probably the beginning of '27, midwinter.
Okay. All right, well,
I'm pretty sure it's gonna snow between now and then.
Yeah, good bet.
yeah, it's a good chance of it. All right, so we'll put that right at the top of the priority list and dig into that this week, I guess.
Yes.
Anything else?
Other than that, I guess everything's going all right.
All right. All right, moving on to utilities.
Well, I got a couple of curb stops but in order to fix them, met with Green Mountain Power today, and they're gonna have to hold the pole so we can do the digging, cause it's right next to them, and there's fiber optic there, so guys gotta come and remark that. It's
Okay.
over by, actually Nancy Woolley's shut off and Martin's, but it broke, and so we gotta dig it all the way down.
Okay.
So that's about it. And then the fire truck is done. We're gonna
Okay.
go get it tomorrow. Costs about 37,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that
Gulp.
what you were expecting?
They quoted me 33,
Uh-huh.
but when you get digging into the
Oh,
motor,
yeah.
you don't know until you. I mean, Cooter they don't have a clue when they're digging in there what they're gonna find.
Yeah.
But he did anything you need fixing, I said fix it, cause I said we can't do this again.
All right.
So,
So presumably we're looking at a reliably rebuilt motor.
yeah,
Alright.
so trying to go get it tomorrow afternoon.
So will you need check to pick that
No,
up?
they're sending you the bill.
Okay.
He said they know where to look for us.
How quick can we move the town office?
Not very fast.
All right. All right, well, that's good news that we've got that back, so.
Yeah, no,
that
it's definitely good news.
really leaves the whole valley lacking, so,
Yeah, definitely does.
great to hear. Anything else? Good, all right. I don't see Jeff, so I'm guessing no energy
No, he's not on Zoom.
report, all right.
Well, I'll just say that I did meet with him about the MERP grant and the scope of work. We had a nice discussion. He's kind of redoing a few things. We're trying to narrow it down to a certain scope of work. So it's still a work in progress, but he's on it.
Okay. Perfect. Grant updates.
I just have two. On April 29th, we received notice that we were awarded the FY 26 Class 2 paving grant. It's like the second year in the row, which doesn't ever happen, so that's kinda cool. We don't know how much it's for yet. They'll get back to us on that. The project, if we so choose to go forward with it, will be, on Route 100 up, Corey Hill. Right?
Correct.
And it'll stop like just before Corey Hill. Right?
It'll stop just before the quarry.
Okay. If we do this will take place the summer of 26. It's next year's paving project. We'll know more, like, for sure when we get the numbers and see how it looks to us. And then just the last thing is, on the 5th, I submitted reimbursement, for the LHMP finally, so we've got that in for $8,715. And that's it.
So
And I'll let
on the
everyone know when that comes
paving,
back.
pardon my ignorance, I'm
No.
still coming up to speed on such things here. The actual paving is gonna be on Route 100? That's our
No,
responsibility?
from Route 100 up Quarry Hill.
Okay, all right, that makes more
Sorry,
sense to
I
me.
didn't
Yeah,
explain that very well. Yep.
I maybe didn't hear it right
No,
either.
it's okay.
All right, well, and I guess nothing else there, so moving on to the repurposing high school.
Yeah, let me start, and Walter and Aja may have things to add to it, or correct me what I have to say. First of all, I want to report some very good news on the PCB front. You may recall Sarah Wright from Two Rivers has been overseeing this process. Two Rivers paid for and retained the consultants to do the sampling work. She's been the liaison to the town, to VHI, to Department of Environmental conservation and to USDA. She's reported to us that none of the samples, and they sampled the whole building, none of the samples came back above the level that requires mitigation. So that's very good news. And she's also received word that Environmental Conservation is going to issue a certificate of completion, that process is done. And then that is input to the U.S. Department of Agriculture review of the National Environmental Protection Act requirements, which would then allow that to be completed, which then confirms our eligibility for the grant we just applied for last month. So all these things have knock-on effects, but the bottom line is that it's very good news. So that's the main thing. And then also, I think what that suggests is that the select board may want to now consider exercising the option agreement to purchase the building. The purchase option agreement stipulates that decision, if it's going to be made, has to be done by June 1st, with a closing by July 1st. So just wanted to mention that so that there's no mystery or confusion. And I think from prior discussion, the PCB situation was probably the biggest issue of concern. So I think we've overcome that one. Well, Walter and Aja, you've been doing a lot of work in the building. What you guys up to?
I've been following Asha around while she does the work.
Okay,
Very competent.
so you're tired.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted.
That's not true. I have pictures of him with a sledgehammer. Just
We took another load of wood out of there. I'm waiting for a response from the school district whether they'll pay for a fourth dumpster. There's just so much stuff around that no matter what you do, it just seems to, there must be a hole in the roof where it rains debris. Because we just can't seem to get enough stuff out of there. But we'll get it out one way or the other. And Asha and her crew have been busy in the home ec room. All the boards are down. A coat of paint went on today because in anticipation of us managing the building in the summer, there are tenants who want to come in there. And it's always nice to put your best foot forward. So
Fair enough.
got a coat of paint on it. So you can come in and roll around the floor if you want.
yeah. We've been working a lot with a couple different organizations trying to get all of the things that are useful to good homes. I have been meeting with a therapeutic school that's currently in Randolph that's about to move to the former Goddard College campus. It's I'm sorry.
Plainfield.
Yeah. So they serve students. It's a therapeutic school for people aged 12 to 22, and they took almost all of the educational things that were still left, and they plan to come with a massive truck and trailer and take all the shelves and books, which I don't know if anyone has been in there. It's
That
a lot.
would be a huge help.
And we had been just not wanting to, their books. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. And yeah, that's the big one. Just, spending time cleaning up and making sure that when tenants come in, they're happy with what they see and want to come back and have more people come in. So.
Okay.
Since you didn't mention it, I'm guessing there's no news, but of course, we're all very interested in the project cost estimate.
Yeah, hadn't been redone, needs to be redone, but Kelly, our lead architect, has been away on vacation. We're gonna have an update meeting on Thursday just to check in on process and progress, and that's one of the things that we need to get done very soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. And then I guess moving on from there, select board updates. I don't really have anything to update.
Not me, no.
I think you kind of gave your little update a minute ago with the energy coordinating part.
Yes.
All right, so I guess we'll, unless there's objections, we'll move on to new business. Doesn't look like any, so moving on. So, first thing we have is a liquor license for outside consumption for Maple Soul. And we've been doing that right along, and they currently are still open. So I'm going to propose that we approve that.
I second that.
All right, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gotta get my system, there we go. Figure out which way I was going with my system here. Okay, and then, so next up on the list, we have Galen McCusker, but it looks like Cricket is sitting in for him, requesting to revitalize the pump track a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Galen attended in the flesh the planning board meeting last week, so I gave him the choice if he wanted to go to soccer tonight. He's at soccer practice. He is doing a 6th grade project with Rochester Elementary School, and he's interested in kind of doing some improvements, dressing up the pump track area, which is that small grassy area between the skate space and kind of like the back of Dan McKinley's property. It's gotten a bit grown in and not quite as much fun to ride or run around, and he had the idea of maybe making a bit of a smaller footprint. It kind of got a little bit infringed. When we worked through the skate space, everything shifted a little bit, and so it's time for a little bit of an improvement project, and he's requesting to basically shrink the footprint a bit, come inside of the manhole. I think Terry might appreciate that, bring the track inside of the manhole. That gives a little bit more buffer on the sides for better swale drainage on the high side, and come inside of the utility poles and just make it a little bit smaller footprint, but a little bit better quality with some filter fabric throughout the little loop and some hard pack. It'll be kind of like an infield mix, or sure pack, another name for it. And yeah, maybe a 240-foot little loop. Again, a bit small, kind of make 3/4 size of what's there. And something that's a bit easier to maintain, won't have to be weed whacked, and should stay in better shape and be more fun for the preschoolers to run around and the bigger kids to ride their bikes around without quite as much weed whacking. And yeah, so it's a no change of use, no construction, no structures, just a little bit of dressing up what's there and putting a better surface down that's a little easier to maintain.
okay. Well, sounds like a win on all levels.
So you're not asking us for any money or anything?
No, he's done a lot of researching and talking. The labor and equipment for it will be donated by trail builder Tom Pesker, and then he's been working with Cheryl Harvey and Ray Harvey to find out what the cost of materials would be and where to get the best material from. Ray's got some infield mix that he's a little bit down at the pit, a few yards, and he's going to make a few more yards. And so Galen got some samples of that, showed it to Tom, and chose the best one. And he got an estimate from Harvey's, and Lindy Stetson at the school in combination with Ridgeline have said that they'll kind of go halvesies on what's needed, and Harvey's gave a generous discount too. So he's working through learning what things cost and how it all works. And good job with it. That's why I released him and said, you can go to soccer practice tonight. He gave the whole spiel at the planning board meeting last week, and did a good job. So, and they were pleased with it. They didn't really even comment in an official way, because they said there's no real, we don't need to make a motion to approve it, because there's no particular planning worthy, you're not building anything or need a permit in any way, but it was a great experience for him, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's good to kind of rejuvenate that and make it usable again, and a little more user-friendly, and I will propose that we approve that action.
Second,
And all those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
I'll let him know.
So that way it's official. All right, so next up on the list is approval and signing of a financial management questionnaire for the auditor, which I understand we just do this every year.
Yep.
And so I am going to propose that we approve that.
And if you need time to read,
Yeah, well, he can come and help,
Yeah, absolutely.
carry things.
Absolutely, he's good at carrying things.
It'll be good.
Seems straightforward. Looks good to me.
All right, just need a second.
Yep, second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that is approved, and give that a sign. Oh, the date. It always gets me when it asks me for the date. All right. Do you want this, or do you want me to?
it can go in there.
Okay.
Fine,
Okay, so next up, we have an approval and signing of a proposed amendment to the Wayman Lanphier Architects contract for the repurposing project. And this is, boy, I don't know how to go through this without,
Well, maybe we can ask
being a long
VHI to
venture.
speak to it.
is there a shorter way that you
Yeah.
might be able to put this? Without reading every single word on the paper?
Summarize it. It's for engineering services. One is to do an initial evaluation about whether an open loop geothermal could be considered for the project, geothermal heating, cooling, et cetera. So they did an initial evaluation. Second one is to evaluate the engineering requirements for a new entryway and canopy that would extend out from the current main entrance to the building. And the third one is for some civil engineering for site work. Some mapping, something to do with storm water, wastewater flow, et cetera, meetings associated with that. Fourth one has to do with a design build for the sprinkler system, requires flow testing, and I think that's it total. So you're gonna use the existing sprinkler, testing the existing sprinkler system and adding to it so that the building would be sprinkled. This is for the flow testing. So.
Okay, so that's basically all the,
So is that,
Pieces,
that's
parts,
an amendment to the current contract that we have with
Yes.
them now?
yes, so this will essentially serve as a change order. And keeping in mind, these costs are all covered by your
Correct,
grants and donors.
Yes,
So these will not actually be a direct expense of the town.
Correct.
It will be covered by VHI.
yes.
So I guess the first one we have for the geothermal evaluation was $1,650. So that's the exploration of that. Engineering Ventures working on a new proposal for the vestibule of the building for $8,250.
It's not to exceed, right?
Not to exceed, yes. Civil engineering services, because of a change in wastewater, or not wastewater,
Stormwater.
stormwater, yes, thank you. Also for $8,250. And I did raise the question of this before the meeting. I'm a little leery of those numbers being the same.
Yeah.
So just if that does change, that will have to come back around
Understood. Yeah, I know
for
all
reapproval.
the work with the invoices and contract amendment with the architect does get reviewed by Dick Robson as one of the volunteers for the project before it's then passed on for recommendation to.
Yes, and that is what I'm having faith in right now.
More so than me.
So that, this could potentially come back around if that is in fact a typo, but I'm having faith that it's not. And then the cost of the flow test and the sprinkler design combined is $5,280 fixed fee. And just the flow test is $2,904.
For a flow test,
That's what they
That's
have
ridiculous.
written here.
it takes roughly 20 minutes to a half hour to do a flow test.
All right.
You open up 2 hydrants and you have gauges on them. And the engineer has to just write a paper on it, which is 2 pages long.
Maybe
And that's
you
your
and I
fight, that's your flow test.
should start our own business.
Okay, yeah, I'm in the wrong business. Okay, so noted on that.
That not to exceed number also fixed.
Well, I mean, it just kind of is a side note, just the flow test would cost that, but that may have just been a number that she, or someone just picked out and said, we'll go with that
Yeah.
in the bigger number. So all those add up to a total compensation adjustment of $23,430. Leaving a new phase 1 total of $267,667.
Question
Yes.
for you. Is it possible to get a flow test done, do you think, for less than that from another vendor?
I would, so all you gotta do is get most your sprinkler places, that I've seen do it for free. They get the job.
Then maybe we ought to question that before it,
Yeah.
before
Okay.
we authorize
So-
payment, that part of that.
Let me table this.
Because we paid nothing at the firehouse for hours.
Yes, okay, so with that being noted, we are going to table this until the next meeting to give VHI some time to explore.
Yeah, thanks for the tip.
All right,
Thanks, Terry.
thank you. That's why we have experts sitting in the room. All right. And so that was the last thing on the new business agenda. Any old business coming back around?
I meant to put the flag.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we did have John Lambert proposed that we start adding the Pledge of Allegiance to the beginning of every meeting.
And the removal of your head coverings, please.
Yes, so we did discuss that a little bit. At this current time, we're not ready to quite take that step yet. Main reason being right now in the modern political climate, there's really nothing we can do there without making a political statement. And we're trying to avoid making these meetings political because really we are here for a business meeting for the town business. But this isn't gonna just get stuffed away and swept under the rug. When all 3 of us are back in the same state again, we're gonna keep this on the table for us to discuss a little more. And this ultimately can be brought up at town meeting if, which would probably be a more official way to go about it. Because it would seem if we were gonna do it at this meeting, it should pretty much blanket all the committee meetings. So that's where we ended up with that currently.
Okay.
But like I said, it's not just getting swept under the rug. We're just not ready to take that step yet. And we have received by email a few other potentially contradicting requests. Just so that's out there as well. So, which would also put us making another political statement in another way. So we need to kind of go through our history of taking on these motions and adopting things with votes and kind of come up with a linear path that the town is headed in. So we're not zigzagging and conflicting every time we turn around, so to speak. So if that's adequate explanation.
That's fine.
Okay.
I don't hear crickets.
Okay. So that's that. Any other old business?
We don't have any hands raised on Zoom.
All right. And moving on to public comment, I guess.
Testing. Hello?
I believe Robert Frank's on his phone.
Okay. And he's up?
He's on Zoom and unmuted, yep.
Okay. How you doing, Robert?
I'm good, Chad. How are you?
Oh, not bad at all. What have you got for us today?
Well, you're doing a good job, but I don't think political regards should be put forth to the town regarding a request made to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So with that said, I'm going to move forward with 4 questions for both you and Mr. Tietzel, Patty Harvey, and the town of Rochester. Would you like
Okay.
me to do so?
You can go right ahead, Robert, but I'm just going to remind you we are in public comment, so we are limited to 3 minutes.
Well, who's timing the 3 minutes?
Mike right here beside me has it on his phone.
I'm sorry, what machine is he calculating my minutes on?
Well, I think it's an iPhone, but don't quote me on that.
Use my Apple Watch.
Well, I suggested
As long as you're in the neighborhood, Robert, go ahead.
Okay, that's a good. So, I'm not asking for answers, but I would like Mr. Tietzel, Patty Harvey, and Chad to address them. So, does the town of Rochester have an updated employee handbook? Yeah, it's a yes or no question.
Okay. So I'm getting the word that it hasn't been updated since 2019.
Well, that's something that is a major problem reflective onto the last select board chair. Hasn't been, so you're confirming in this meeting that the updated employee handbook hasn't been updated since 2019.
That is the honest answer due to the information that I was given.
Oh, well, by the way, it's 2025, so let's move on. So
All right, moving on.
Job descriptions in that handbook of all elected officials, all appointed and employed town servants, including the apparent conflicts of interest in 05767. Number 2, does it define and describe all responsibility, including authority, responsibility, accountability, and does it reference all open meeting laws, as specifically Act 171 and compliance with the acts and laws that were put forth by the Secretary of State of Vermont?
Okay. Was that number 2 or number 3?
That was number 2.
Okay, that's number 3.
That was number 2.
All right, moving on to number 3. Let's see if we can fit them in.
I want to share this with everyone in the meeting. The sense of humor, like you do have, opens up a wider window of discussion. So, number 3 is the Board of Civil Authority in 05767. Who are the current board members of the Civil Authority?
Well, I think,
Gonna be the clerk, the select board.
Well, it's not against.
yeah. So, no,
not a-
I'm just, I don't know what the exact definition of civil authority is. So I'm gonna have to circle back on that and plug everybody
It's a
in.
defined thing, isn't it?
Well,
I mean-
it's the most precedent rule of a town to be officiated by select board members. And I'm sorry that you don't know who the board of
Well,
civil
Robert,
authority.
we know who everyone is I'm just not sure who everyone would be that would fit into the exact definition.
I'm
So
not
before I
asking you who. I'm not
speak on that-
asking you. I'm not asking you who fits. I'm asking you who are the current board members of the civil authority of Rochester, Vermont.
Well, we don't have the answer
So,
off the top of our
I
head,
hate that.
Robert, but your time is actually up. So can you get to number 4 and,
Number 4, volunteer fire persons reacting to a rollover crash on Route 100 North, April 1st, 2025, who had the legal authority of procedures during and included so witnessed by many townspeople and recorded by video in town. Who is the authority of the Rochester Fire Company?
Well, the incident command on any scene would be the chief of the fire company.
Right. So in last week's Herald, it was reported there was nothing about an accident. It was about what happened after the accident. And that is a gigantic question. And it will be put forth to the proper people. But who is driving that vehicle? Does anyone know that?
We do not have authority to comment on anything to do with that.
So the fire company, the ambulance company, and the town of Rochester have no clue or cannot report on who was the driver that could have killed many people on Route 100 at 7:30 in the morning. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. Anyone, whether we're members of the fire department or members of the emergency medical response, we cannot comment and we will not comment as far as identities and particulars of the incident.
Well, has the town of Rochester received the state police report on the accident?
The town of Rochester will not receive the state police report. That would be filed with the state.
Well, that's very interesting. That's a very interesting thing, Jack.
Hey, finish him up, come on.
Finish? Who said finishing him up?
yeah, Robert.
We're getting there. We're gonna have to
Time
move
is
on.
up. We're gonna move on.
No, who said finish him up?
It was just another Zoom voice, Robert, but we're gonna have to move on to the next person.
This is a public meeting, and whoever said that should be reprimanded.
Okay, Robert, it is a public meeting, but we've let you go on, more than twice of the allotted time at this point. So we're gonna move on to the next person.
Well, thank you.
Have a good night.
I do not have any other hands
Okay.
raised on Zoom.
Okay, John.
All right, let's see.
John Lambert.
Oh, sorry, John, go ahead.
So, I missed the beginning of the last meeting, but
Okay.
there was mention of the American Legion possibly having to move from downstairs. So I'm not sure how all that stuff, Jeff asked me to come and speak to you about getting the information on
Okay,
how that works with the town.
Actually, I could speak to that.
okay, perfect.
Yeah. I mean, there's been no decision on that. So we have this MERP grant that is going to provide funds to increase the sustainability operationally of this building, but it also brings into play Americans with Disabilities Act. And in order to bring this building completely up to ADA standards would entail a lot of work downstairs because of the use of that room by the American Legion. I asked Jeff about how often the room is used, if there might be another option to not use that room so that that money would not have to be spent in the basement. But no decisions have been made. It's just really in an exploratory phase right now.
Okay. Perfect. I'm glad you were here for that.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead, Martha.
Who was, John, but I didn't get the last name of the gentleman who was speaking.
Oh, that was John Lambert with the question.
Okay,
And then Mike Tietzel responded.
okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, do we have any other public?
Not on
No,
Zoom.
gone. All right, with that, I believe we have completed our agenda. And I will propose that we adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.